Today on Ask BRStv, we're answering a question from Meacham over on Reef to Reef. Can you recreate the EcoTech Radion AB Plus schedule on the Maxspect Ethereal LED? Hey guys, Randy here answering a popular Ask BRStv question today. This one coming from several requests over on the Reef to Reef forum, specifically from Meacham, who asked if it would be possible for us to recreate the AB Plus spectrum settings from EcoTech's Coral Lab using the Ethereal LED fixture from Maxspect, much like we did for the AI Prime and Hydra HD LEDs. So for you, Meacham, and all others who have been asking, I put the Maxspect Ethereal under the spectrometer and got as close as I could. Okay, so right off the bat, I have to say I was pretty impressed with how relatively close the spectrum chart within the Maxspect Synergy programming app ended up being to our own spectrometer's reading, and how it changed dynamically as you slide the LED channels up and down. On top of that, admittedly, this was my first time setting up an Ethereal, and I had it connected and making adjustments in just a couple minutes without any need to look up a how-to video or directions. Let's dive right into it. So after turning the mood light on the fan to black, I played around with the 5 sliders to work on matching the AB Plus spectrum we captured in our BRStv Investigates episode with the Radeon XR15, and came as close as I could with cool whites at 10%, neutral and warm white at 30%, cool and ultramarine blue channel at 33%, royal blue and blue channel at 85%, and the UV superactinic channel to 32%. Although the spectrum range and control may not be as diverse as the Radeon, the Ethereal really came close to matching some of the same peaks and valleys in the 400 to 500 nanometer range, with slightly higher peaks at the 400 and a low point that dipped more in the 415 nanometer range instead of the 420 range like the Radeon. Outside of that, you can see that the peak in the 445 to 450 range is a bit broader on the Ethereal, but it still looks to cover that width of the more blue band of the spectrum right up to 500. After that, I wasn't quite able to bring up the bump in the red 660 nanometer range, likely since there isn't a direct channel to adjust in that color, but I would say that this is a pretty solid representation of the overall AB Plus spectrum, and I would like to try it out myself. So wrapping this one up, one thing to mention is that the sliders are oriented backwards to their representation on the spectrum chart behind them, but I actually think this works out better so you can see the changes happening in real time while you adjust the sliders rather than getting lost behind your finger. Beyond that, again, this was honestly my first hands-on with this fixture, and I have to say that it will be an option I consider if I set up a tank like the IM Nuvo 40, or maybe even a 60-gallon cube-sized tank. Thanks for watching, and thank you, Meacham, for the great question. If you're looking for some of those more in-depth answers that come from a larger conversation with both the BRS crew and the reefing community, hit us up on our sponsor forum over on reef2reef.com. Check out what everyone's talking about with the link to our forum in the lower left, as well as in the description, and we'll see you next time on Ask BRStv.